particular field. And today we have one, Grace KABATANGARE, a passionate woman, very vibrant, full of life. I've been following her for quite a while, and I love what you do, Grace. But just a little bit, talking about Grace, she's a mentor. Grace has particular knowledge in forestry, agribusiness management. She also has been doing landscaping for over 16 years. She also does a little bit of interior design and is good at what she does. Grace, welcome to this show.
Thank you, Doreen.
Women in Business celebrates women just like you. We get to know your journeys and they get to inspire other women. We get to know those little nitty-gritties that other women, those particular nitty-gritties that other particular people don't get to know. But because we are women, we understand that they exist. We want to know about the challenges. We want to know about how you started, what inspired you. Every little bit of knowledge we want to get to know. So please, just let us know about your journey and what inspired you.
Thank you, Doreen. I don't know where to begin, but
just start wherever you are.
I wouldn't call it an inspiration. I would call it maybe a provocation. When I started this business in 2006, I was employed formally, but I wasn't really satisfied or happy. I'm the kind of person who can't sit in one place for a long time. I think I'm more of a creative, and within the space I was in, I felt confined. I felt squashed. I felt squeezed, both mentally and even physically.
And in most cases, formal employment sort of like constrains you to a particular niche, and that's what you wanted to break free.
I wanted to break free, but truth be told, I also wasn't happy, even away from the work. I needed something that would give me freedom to move, freedom to think, freedom to be. And I mean not to have to wake up every morning and do one particular thing. And I also found out when I did an audit that year that many people had been admiring my home, both the interior and exterior. And I just decided to resign and start the business.
Just like that? You weren't scared?
It wasn't just like that. There is more to it. But basically, I was supposed to do something, and I suggested I do it in a different way. And I was trying to negotiate flexible time. I had a little boy then, and somehow I was not allowed to work half day. It had so many complications, yes. So by the time I decided to resign, I'd had it. And I'd not done this before. I just believed that I could make it outside of the formal employment.
Not so many. It's gutsy, you know, it's gutsy. Because most of the people just prefer the comfort, the security of knowing at the end of the day I'm just going to be paid. I'll have my salary on my account. So just quitting into something that you hadn't done, because most of them want to play around half and see how it goes, get 1 or 2 customers, 3, 4, 5, and then be assured that it can actually be sustainable. But you didn't.
Doreen, I want you to understand that even while I worked, I had little small jobs. And the reason I left also was because the money I was getting was not good.
The money was not pleasing.
The money was not pleasing, considering that I had a master's in agribusiness. I was working in an organization that was agro-based, but I felt I was not being utilized. I felt my brains were not being put to use. And I decided that let me leave and do something away from what I'm doing and earn the same. That's the truth. And indeed, when I left, I had a few clients and I was getting the same amount of money, only that
you're getting the same amount of money?
Almost the same amount of money that I was getting at my workplace. Yeah. And this time I wouldn't have to spend it on transport, because what I was getting was basically fuel for my car and a little bit left over. Yeah.
We've had, you're a mother as well.
Yes, I am.
Right now the kids are a little bit grown.
Yeah.
16 years, that's way back.
That's way
We've
back.
had different mothers on the show come in and say, in most cases, they wanted something that would give them a little bit of time, room, to be able to have time with their children. Was this one of the things probably that appealed to you?
Definitely. I had one child then, and I needed time with him. I was raised to know that a woman should take care of their children. Fortunately or unfortunately, I was also raised in a home where we did not have house help permanently, and neither did I. So it was difficult balancing the work. That's why it was easy for me to leave, because there was nothing holding me at the workplace. Yes, the opportunity cost was too high. So I just took a step of faith and decided to
Just to get into it and see how it works out.
Yes, but I must remind you, Doreen, that our upbringing is such that we are brought up to be fearless.
You either try.
You either win or win.
You try, but you don't fail to try.
You don't fail to try. So I knew that if the worst came to the worst, I would make chapati and sell, or sell groundnuts. As in, I knew that I could do whatever it, and that's my same attitude today. I can do whatever it is, even if it's to polish your shoes or sweep. So I left with that attitude of, let me leave this for my employment. Let me go and continue with the interior design and compound landscaping. But in addition to that, maybe start knitting and sell, start coaching students. There are so many opportunities out there. And I was confident that I would actually do everything that needed to be done to put food on the table.
Did you have a plan B in case it didn't work out?
I did not have a plan B. I did not have a plan B.
Weren't you scared? Like, you know how you get into something and you are leaving formal employment? Yes, the security. Why am I fixated on that? Because people struggle with this. You know that, Grace. They struggle with this. It takes 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and they're still, let me first get everything in place before I leave. But they never, do.
Doreen, I think I would struggle if I was getting good money, if I was traveling, if I was getting education opportunities, if I was getting travel opportunities, but there was nothing. Yeah, so it was easy for me. For some of us, it's difficult to leave formal employment, because I have friends and family who, if they told me they were leaving formal employment, I would slap them, because they have medical insurance, they have NSSF, they have so many other benefits, in addition to a relatively high salary, in addition to maybe a company car. But at that point, I felt I was not happy at my place of work.
And that was, it was just a gutsy feeling that you had on the inside. Were you mentored? Were you mentored by anyone? Or this is just something that you loved? You loved beautiful stuff inside your house. You loved the very nice compound. And this felt natural. It felt natural to you.
I was actually mentored, especially in the landscaping business. So this is what would happen. I would get a client and then take them to my mentor to buy plants. And I want to recognize the role of mentors in my life. And one day I took a client and told her, you know what? She's called Betty Mayanja. She told me, Grace, you're not going to make money if you keep buying plants from me. So this should be the last client that you're bringing. So she told me, you've got to start with your own nursery. You've got to learn how to propagate. You've got to learn how to multiply. You've got to learn. And she told me her personal story, how she started with 30 plants. And she began walking around with me in her nursery and telling me, so for this one, this is what you do. This is what you do. This is what you do. So whenever I got a big client I wasn't confident to deal with, I would tell her, Madam Betty, I can't manage this client. Could you please do this deal? Yes. And of course, I would be there to watch and learn. But over the years, I remember I met her, I think 4 or 5 years ago, and I just broke down. I started crying because I told her, you started with me, you walked with me, you know? Yeah, so I appreciate her.
With just a few shows back with Dr. Nolene, we actually talked about the importance of mentorship. And I believe in one of the other guests talked about how, not a guest, talked about how one of her mentors literally we had different perspectives. Yes, your perspective is a positive one. Your mentor walked with you through your journey as you grew, okay?
Not really, learned. But she was there when I needed her.
Yes.
Yes.
She gave you the footing to start. Now in another, the mentor actually wanted her to conform and be exactly like her, was very rigid and things like that. And then I also have another one that has shared with me and said her mentor literally wanted to take over her business. So the mentors actually, the mentors matter.
Mentors matter, but we also must understand the meaning of mentorship. What is mentorship in the broader context? And also, for me to mentor you, Doreen, I'm going to mentor you from where I am. I'm going to mentor you from where I am in terms of growth. So if, for instance, I'm on a financial growth journey, or maybe whichever area, then I'm going to mentor you based on where I am. So we also have, I guess, to be a little kind to our mentors, because they're also doing life with us. So those ones who've had different experiences, they need to think through what their mentors were going through at the same time. Unfortunately, most mentors do not, the boundaries are kind of blurred. Yeah. And we kind of, once you've been labeled a mentor, then you feel you shouldn't share certain vulnerabilities or difficulties with your mentee.
But that is what I'm saying. Yes, mentorship is meant to be selfless. Okay, it's meant to be selfless, unless you're going to get a particular coach. Yes, who is going to, and you're going to go there as an apprentice. You're going to pay a particular fee.
But maybe. Doreen, let me stop you there.
But mentorship is meant to be selfless. This person wants to walk you through the journey, wants to see you established, wants to see you successful. That's what I believe true mentorship is meant to be. That's what I believe.
But with the knowledge that the mentors are also walking a journey. Yes.
And they also get to change.
They get to change. I mean, were you the same 10 years ago? Or even 5 years ago?
So what you're saying is, let's be a little bit kind to our mentors.
Yes.
Because whatever they were able to in our business journeys is as at how their level of growth was.
Exactly. And they are or become or do not become to one mentor. You find one person has maybe even 30 mentors. And this one helps me with the interior design aspect. And another one helps me with finance within the interior design. Yeah. And somebody helps me with maybe presentation and confidence and how to negotiate. So you find that we have very many mentors, and each of them with a different strength and a different weakness.
And I think probably the challenge right now is that the majority of new startups, yes, once they identify a particular mentor, they begin to identify that particular mentor as a one-stop center. Yes, this person is supposed to give me every little bit of knowledge that she knows. He's supposed to give me the connections. He's supposed to make the linkages to whatever source or resource that I need. They make that particular mentor a one-stop center. But you're saying that you can have different mentors in your business journey. One for maybe the actual knowledge, yes, and then another maybe on how to improve your marketing. The other one on maybe the mindset and everything. You can actually do that.
We shouldn't exhaust our mentors. And you find a mentor has so many other mentees. Yeah. And I always refer to this statement that when the student is ready, the teacher appears. So even as mentees, there are times we are not ready. Yes. When I look back 16 years, I even shudder and respect my mentors more because of the silly questions they answer, you know?
You agree.
Yeah,
and they were very patient.
They were very patient.
But Grace, you broke into this particular industry, landscaping, interior design. For example, landscaping, you have a very beautiful, space of greenery behind. And you've always had this, yes? Because we've been following you for quite a while. And we know what you've been doing and we know what you're capable of. By the time you got into this particular space, there were different mindsets, very different mindsets. There are those ones that wanted to give you the lowest possible, I'm very sure, the lowest amount, saying this is just a weed, I can get it from somewhere, this is Uganda, it can be propagated and grown its own, why are you charging me? Tell us about that.
Wow. That's,
yes.
Yeah, that touches me deep down in my heart. I remember then, first of all, there were very few people who really appreciated, no, let me rephrase. Everyone appreciates beautiful spaces, but very few appreciated the professionalism that came with landscaping. One of the problems I found then with the clients is maybe ignorance. They thought you just plant a tree or a shrub and it will take care of itself.
That's what I mean.
So telling them to pay you maintenance fees was a bit of a challenge. But over years, some of them would call me and their gardens have just gone out of the... gone wild, and now you have to even use more money, bring in machinery, and because you're now pruning, you're thinning out. And so people appreciated beauty, they still do, but they did not appreciate that for me to maintain this beauty, I need somebody professional to do it. And many relied on the experience of roadside gardeners, shamba boys, and yes. So what I can say that helped me is my background in forestry. My first degree is in forestry. And so I would educate my clients and tell them about the effect of this plant maybe to...
But first, we have, I even still have that habit whereby I see a very nice plant in someone's, someone's house, or I am moving by and I get to see it. It's striking, right? By the roadside guys that sell the plants, okay? I have no idea about its name. And I'm very sure you have those weird clients. They'll just tell you it just grows like this, it's green. How do you handle such demands? And how do you also navigate the complexities of clients? Today they are saying, I want this, then the next day they don't like it. How do you go?
Honestly speaking, Doreen, I think I've been blessed with charm. And I think I'm quite persuasive. And another benefit is the education, really. So when I meet a client, I just put aside all bias and think of them as somebody who wants a beautiful space. I usually do my business in a participatory manner because I believe, and that is also my way of giving back, I believe that if I'm doing your space, then you should participate in making that space beautiful. Although some don't want, they want nothing to do with their gardens. But those ones who are receptive,
first way?
Yes.
They don't want anything
No. They don't want to touch a plant. They don't want to know how they just want a beautiful space. Yes. But there are those who are actually very eager to participate in making their space beautiful. And those are the ones you're referring to who will buy everything, And some have ended up buying poisonous plants. Fortunately, in the 16 years, I've not had any incident of death or a child being hospitalized. But many people do not know what plants they are buying. They don't know whether they are poisonous or not. Some don't even know that some are edible, others are not. So I'm blessed with having the ability to convince a client that what I'm going to do for them
is going to be worthwhile.
Is going to be worthwhile. And maybe at this point I should say that I don't usually source for my clients. My clients are referred. I have clients I've worked with for 14 years, 15 years. So when they see what I have done for them, they refer me. So I actually have families. I belong to so many families because I work for Doreen. Doreen refers me to the brother, the sister, the uncle, the auntie, and all that. Yeah, but I've not really had difficulty with clients, apart from a few who, those ones can't, they're always there. They never appreciate.
And you ditch them? Do you just let go for the sake of your sanity and peace, or you'd figure out how to handle them? Truth be told.
When I got to 40, I don't know what happened, but I just let it go.
Peace.
For peace.
Peace is paramount.
But before, I would actually go the extra mile and do your garden for free and tell you, if you appreciate after 5 years, maybe you'll pay me, or if you don't like it, I'll replace the plants. But I think now, I'm like, if you want something, then first of all, be patient, because plants are like children. Yeah, be patient and trust the process.
You know, we never get to that point where we are thinking about some plants being poisonous. Of course we do when we have little children, we get to be a little bit particular, but in most cases at the back of our mind, I think most of us, some of us, never really we just want beautiful plants and don't think about the aspect about. And then of recent, normally they want, what are they called? The mosquito repellent plants and the snake repellent. Those ones I've had.
Yeah.
So I've noticed that quite a number of them have been asking on social media. Yes, can we have this repellent? What's your take on that?
I think really those mosquito and snake repellent plants are overrated, and I'm saying this not to discourage anybody, but there are plants that, for instance, the snake plant, like that one over there,
That's called a snake plant.
Yes, it's said to repel plants, but
to repel
snakes. But on a forum I'm on, a client once sent a picture of a snake chilling within the snake plant. Yeah, so some of these things, we as gardeners, as landscapers, we may sell a plant and tell you this will repel mosquitoes, this will repel. For instance, citronella actually repels mosquitoes. Yeah. We have the chives that actually repel plants, repel snakes. But they are not 100%. You know, you have to engage other mechanisms of getting rid of mosquitoes and snakes. They do repel, but not 100%, unless your whole garden is full of them. Yeah, for them to be effective. Yeah.
And in most cases, I have noticed that you don't only do private homes, but you also do business facilities, you do recreational areas and things like that. There's quite a difference in the acreage, yes? In the amount of space, the flowers you're going to use, and all these different things. How do you go about it? How do you go about it? Especially in costing, in identifying what particular plants are going to suit which particular area. How do you go about it? It took a while?
It did. It took a while, and I also thank my mentors on that note, because you have to know what your client wants. Yeah. So for residential areas, it's very simple. I sit down with Doreen. Do you have children? Are you a garden person? What activities? Are you an indoor, outdoor? That is simple. But when it comes to commercial spaces, I did Nakasero Hospital. And I remember when I was planning it out, I just said, if I were sick or if I was bringing a patient to this hospital, what would I love to see, you know? And when it's a recreation area, you also have to understand who are the clients and also the maintenance, because a home is small, but these recreational areas are usually many, with so many people, so you also don't want to put delicate plants. You also don't want to put high maintenance plants. You want to put plants that are easily managed. When it comes to costing, I learned over time that you have to cost everything. You have to cost for everything, and that is something I urge all women entrepreneurs to teach their mentors, their mentees. I used to find it so difficult costing, and I would end up making losses and cry about, oh, this business is not working, oh, I'm always broke and yet I'm doing good work. And clients will they will never tell you that you've undercosted. They'll be happy because they're saving. Yeah, so I've just only recently learned how to cost properly and charge for my services. And I usually push the cost back to the client. So I make sure that the client buys the materials. Or I make sure that they trust that that's the cost of the materials, because the material cost is very high. And I separate the labor and
we've had so many talk about these challenges. But before we get into that, let's take a short break and we'll be right back.